At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Good morning, everyone. Did you see this? This was southwest of Chester. This was actually an image that was captured by the Alert California camera network, one of the PG&E cameras out there, southwest of Chester. This was shortly after 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Look at that. Now, what you'll notice is, of course, you've got that brief spin up, a funnel. Some might want to call it a tornado. We don't have confirmation of any of that. For now, the kind of suspicion is that it's a gustnado, if you will. Any way you look at it, there was a brief spin up. And you can kind of see all the debris kind of at the bottom, kind of kicking up a lot of the dirt from the ground there. And then, of course, working its way up to the base of the cloud. Now, if you look at another image, yes, this is an eyewitness image, most likely of the same funnel that we just were looking at, but from a different perspective. Jeremy Strand sent this image. Again, it was around the same time. The cloud structure looks the same, at least at the kind of the top of the image there, and you can kind of see a lot of the debris at the bottom of that spin up, but then of course that extends kind of the lighter gray area all the way up to the base of the cloud. So very interesting. Now, this is something I actually thought about this morning because I posted this on Facebook yesterday. You may have seen it. One of the things I didn't think to look at, because a lot of times what we call the velocity image isn't quite effective, at least based with the software I have. But I thought this morning, let's check just for the fun of it. So I'm going to show you something. This is very interesting because when we look at the mountains, we don't talk about a lot of tornadoes or funnel clouds or spin-ups or anything like that in the mountains. It's pretty rare, but it happens. So you look at the image there, that's the thunderstorm, which, by the way, had a severe thunderstorm warning. I'm going to go into another product that we call the velocity. Now check this out. Let's go to the, stronger. Here we go. Check this out. All right, what you're looking at, you probably don't know what you're looking at here. All right, so the reds, so keep in mind the radar is coming from Reno, so it's from the east. So the reds are winds that are blowing away from the radar, okay? So that's blowing away from the radar. See this area of green? This is moving toward the radar. So this right here is a signature of some spin, some rotation that we're seeing in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So this supports the images we're looking out at the surface with some of that upper level rotation. Very interesting. You know, I'm kind of nerding out on this. I think it's really neat and I think it's pretty cool, and I hope you do too, but very interesting to say the least. A lot of people were talking about it, especially if they live in the area. They can, of course, feel the winds, everything, the works. So it was really interesting to see that happen. Again, there's a look at Jeremy's trend. I want to thank Jeremy for sending that image, by the way. I love the fact that we can get images like this from different perspectives. So if you ever get things like this, send them my way, whether through social media or from the app. It's awesome to get these images. Here's another really cool image, kind of off topic from that, but this was in Reading yesterday. I want to thank Bobby Ashworth for sending this image. These are what are called mammatus clouds. Now, instead of the puffy cumulus clouds that go upwards, these are puffy clouds that go downward. This is a sign of instability, which supports some of the rain and thunderstorms that we did see in the area. So I want to thank Bobby for sending that image. By the way, you can share your photos from the free Weather NorCal app. It's super easy. Of course, you got to have the app first, which you should have. It's a great local source for weather. Take a look at a time lapse from yesterday evening. Now, look at the clouds. This is looking north, so they're moving from southeast to northwest. Then they started moving more to the north, and then from southwest to northeast. And then some lower clouds, see those coming in from the east. So quite an interesting upper level pattern, quite an interesting lower level pattern. We saw those showers, we saw those thunderstorms. That's the time lapse from our Divine Sky Camera. Take a look at the Divine Sky Camera right now. Currently, we do have the overcast skies. There's not a lot of rain out there. There are some showers down to the south into Glenn and Butte counties, and of course south of that, but nothing too terribly heavy at this point. So let's get into your Krueger's Quickcast for your Monday, May 4th. All right, we're going to take a look at what we expect here, first of all, with a new product we're going to be talking about, and that is your Skeeter meter. That is, of course, your mosquito forecast for the week of May 4th, so for this week. Now, the Shasta Mosquito and Vector Control District, they take a look at different algorithms. They have their own little algorithm that they look at. From there, they can generate a Skeeter meter, if you will. So on a scale of 1 to 5, we are at about a 1.5. So it's not too bad, but you may see some mosquitoes out there. We're kind of getting more and more into that mosquito season. And it's time to start thinking about if you have any standing water that you can get rid of. Because as you know, it's that standing water that they tend to breed in, and that's when you start seeing a big outbreak of mosquitoes. So if you have any comments or concerns about that, you can always contact the Shasta Mosquito and Vector Control District. So we'll be, of course, highlighting that. You can always check this Skeeter meter at weathernorcal.com, and you can also check it out at the free Weather NorCal app. All right, here is a look at the radar this morning. As I mentioned, most of it's down to the south, parts of Tehama, Glenn, and Butte counties, even into Plumas County, seeing some of the showers. Now, notice these are moving from east to west. Yesterday, they were moving from southeast to northwest. This all has to do with the positioning of the area of low pressure that's to our south. We are now in that position where the flow around that area of low pressure, it's the north, we are in that north end of that area of low pressure. So as a result, any activity we see is moving from east to west this morning, and will shift more from northeast to southwest as we go through the day today. So this morning, as I mentioned, not a lot of rain. You saw that on the radar. A little bit of rain down to the south, but that's really about it. Otherwise, mostly cloudy skies this morning, overcast skies in many cases. But again, it's the area of low pressure that is to our south spinning that has been impacting us. And that'll continue to move off to the east here. Now, if you watch my morning update, which I update around 5 o'clock in the morning, or at least it's uploaded by then, the Storm Prediction Center out of Norman, Oklahoma, did not have the valley or many areas to the west of that shaded in green. Now, as I was showing that on the map, I said, I want to paint that into the valley and even into Trinity County. And sure enough, here we are, the latest outlook that they have, and it's been included. It's not that they were watching or listening to me, but that's when we can start seeing some of the alignment and agreement in what we think here. So all of the areas in green here, I think, have the potential, for at the very least, to see a stray thunderstorm. Not everyone will see them. Not all of them are going to be severe, but some of them could be strong to severe, like we saw yesterday. Now, you'll also notice that the coast is not painted in green. I think there's a very good chance that Del Norte, northern Humboldt, may make it through the day without seeing a drop of rain. But central southern Humboldt County, I think you might see a little bit. Let's take a look at our HRRR forecast model. This updates every hour, and you can see not a lot going on this morning, but then we start to see some development around the flow of that low pressure. So again, notice these storms are moving from northeast to southwest. And some of those could make their way into the valley. Maybe a stray thunderstorm. But Trinity County, central southern Humboldt County, seeing some of that as well. And then by tonight, we're going to see a lot of this begin to kind of dissipate. The winds, the winds are going to be mainly generated by the thunderstorms, but we could see some gusty winds at times, especially in the areas that do see thunderstorms. Today, here's what we have. Now it looks really ominous. It looks like everyone's going to see thunderstorms. No, I don't think that's going to be the case. We've got isolated thunderstorms or scattered showers and thunderstorms throughout the day today. So not everyone's going to see it. And the thing is, we can't predict exactly where all of these storms are going to develop. Thunderstorms, that is. But it's one of those things that just have it on your radar. Be aware that it is certainly a possibility. For tonight, we are going to be looking at a few showers kind of lingering. Overnight hours, though, a lot of the activity will start to diminish and mainly much drier as we take you into tomorrow. So you can see here as we go through the week, look at the temperatures are increasing. Mid to upper 90s. Could we see 100 degrees for the first time this year, this upcoming weekend? It is not out of the question. Now, it's still early in the game. We're going to start to see these numbers adjust through the week. But early signs are pointing to a very hot weekend. Upper 90s, 100 degrees or not, it doesn't matter. It's going to be hot. Take a look at the 7-day outlook for the coast, inland, and for Trinity County. Yeah, we're going to be looking at that warming trend really across the board as we go into the weekend. You're talking mid to upper 80s for Siskiyou, Modoc County, the Eastern Mountains. And by the way, you'll notice on Tuesday I put the word isolated in there. Still a chance for some isolated showers developing for some of the higher elevations tomorrow afternoon, but it's going to be few and far between, and it won't amount to much, if anything. We'll see. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's Quick Cast. Let's take another look at some of our cameras around the area. We start with our Divine Sky Cam on top of Divine Restaurant in Redding. Looking to the north, can't see Mount Shasta, too many clouds. Not much in the way of rain this morning, at least to the north end of the valley. There's a beautiful shot of Lake Oroville. No, not really. That camera moves. And it's mainly for the government agencies, so they can take a look at what's going on out there. Main Street Chico, we are looking at the traffic this morning. I don't see a lot of wet roadways, but there certainly have been some showers this morning. And we're going to see that case here through the morning hours, especially to the south. Taking a look at Crescent City Harbor District Cam. It was pretty active this morning before sunrise. A lot of the boats going out and doing some fishing. But we do have the overcast skies out there this morning. Let's take a look at Elk Country just north of Trinidad. And it looks like we are seeing some of the overcast skies out there as well. Okay, this is looking at Bald Hill West, looking down at Hoopa Valley. Just the overcast skies. There may be a few stray sprinkles or light showers this morning there. Taking a look at Soda Ridge, just got socked in with that fog over there. We're going to take a look now at Scott Valley. Beautiful, beautiful morning. Looks like it actually have some clear skies up to the north in Siskiyou County. Out towards Lassen Park, actually there was some clearing. Earlier I was looking at this image, there was some fog out there. Of course, that's since then dissipated. We're looking at a lot of that snow melting, folks. You can now see the pathway underneath the bench. So the bench isn't even covered in snow at all anymore. Seeing a lot of that snow melting, but a beautiful sunrise nonetheless. All right, take a look at our sponsor. Sponsor of Coffee with Krueger is Wind River Resort and Casino. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. We're going to take a look at some exciting things they got going on here. Now, this Sunday, of course, as you know, is Mother's Day. You got to get those tickets reserved early, folks, because you got to reserve them. We don't want you to want to go to this event. Just show up and go, well, where's your tickets? You got to get your tickets. You've got three seating times, 9 a.m., 11:30 a.m., and 2 p.m. It's going to be at the event center for Wind River Resort and Casino. So be sure to get those tickets reserved before they are gone. You don't want that to happen, do you? No, I don't think so. Let's take a look at our headlines. It's going to be a wet start to the week. Scattered showers and thunderstorms. Today, warming trend this week, we're getting back into the 80s and then eventually some 90s and eventually maybe some triple digits. Valley highs well into the 90s by the time we do get into the weekend. All right, we're going to get into that deeper dive forecast. And one of the things I want to show you again is this. And I'm going to go up to the screen. I'm going to have to kind of go back and kind of control things here. But I want to show you this because yesterday you may have been kind of sifting through social media and you saw that funnel cloud or gustnado or whatever you want to call it, a spin up, a brief spin up southwest of Chester. Here's Chester, there's Lake Almanor, southwest of Chester, right there. Look at this. This is a signature. We look at what's called velocity. What it does is it shows us the winds that are associated with the thunderstorms. So what we look at, these reds, the radar is off to the east. It's coming out of Reno. Here is the winds going away from the radar. So they're going this way. These winds are going this way toward the radar. So this is a sign of upper level rotation that we are seeing with this thunderstorm, which, by the way, this is a severe thunderstorm warning that we saw yesterday shortly after 4 o'clock. Now I'm going to show you an image because this is the upper level support that we need for that rotation and to see potentially a funnel cloud or a tornado. Let's take a look at this. I'm going to go here and I got to change a few things in the weather computer, but we'll get to it. Take a look at this. Oh, we need to do this first. Do I? There we go. There it is. This right here is, of course, from the Alert California camera network, PG&E camera. This was shortly after 4 o'clock, around the time that we were looking at that upper level rotation. Look at this. We got a brief spin up. What you'll notice here, see how it's a lot darker at the base? This is just a lot of debris that is picking up, and it's really just kind of picking up that dirt and the debris, and you don't see as much as it heads to the base of the cloud. But a very picturesque shot, isn't this? Because first of all, we're in the mountains. We don't typically see things like this. It happens, and it's been known to happen, but not very often. So this is a rare find, folks, for the camera to pick up that image. But what's also kind of picturesque is you get off in the distance here, Lassen Peak, right? How cool is that? So very, very interesting shot. Now here's the other cool part. Most likely the same image, but from a different perspective from someone who had their camera out and saw this. Now what makes me think this is probably the same funnel is the fact that kind of the same type of structure here at the base of the clouds here, and you got the darker kind of picking up the debris, and look at the terrain, same terrain that we were looking at that other image. But again, this is coming from a different perspective. You see how it's a little bit lighter in that section right there. Kind of another picturesque shot here. Interesting too. Look right below it. I mean, just kind of perfect framing of the shot. Right below it is the church. Kind of a cool shot. I want to thank Jeremy Strand for sharing that image. So I had mentioned the severe thunderstorm warning, posted it on social media, mentioned that there was an image that was of a funnel, right? So Jeremy sent this shot. I want to thank you, Jeremy, for that. Here's another cool shot. This is from Bobby Ashworth. These are what we call mammatus clouds. So instead of the puffy cumulus clouds going up, they're actually going down. It's a sign of instability. Typically, you see thunderstorms in the area where you see these types of clouds. All right, let's take a look at this. This is this morning. And we are seeing a few light showers in southern Tehama, Glen Butte County, eastward into parts of Plumas County. There was a lightning strike just southwest of Mount Shasta last night, but things are quieting down. Once this kind of moves out, we're going to see some more development coming in from the northeast later this afternoon. Right now, it's pretty mild, cool though, really, mid to upper 50s for the valley, but still even above 30s, in the low 40s, 40s in general for the mountains, and we got low 50s along the coast. I'm just double checking my mic, make sure it's on. Sometimes you can do this and the microphone's not on. All right, so here we have this area of low pressure. Again, double checking it right here. See the spin? So someone was asking me yesterday, why are the storms moving from southeast to northwest? Well, yesterday, the positioning of the low was where we were seeing this. So the flow around the area of low pressure, right? So it was doing this, and it was coming in from the southeast northwest. That's why the storms are moving in that direction. This morning, they are moving from east to west because, again, around the flow or that area of low pressure. But as this low pressure moves to the east, what will happen is we'll be more in this direction. So we'll be flowing from northeast to southwest later on today. Kind of interesting, because typically storms move from west to east or southwest to northeast. But that's not the case, because again, we've got this upper area of low pressure that's kind of basically dictating the direction that these storms move in. If you watch my morning update, I talked about this a little bit earlier. This was not green. This was not green either. But I had mentioned there still is a chance for thunderstorms in this area here, as well as Trinity County. Sure enough, the latest has come out, and now the Storm Prediction Center is on board with that. Storm Prediction Center comes out of Norman, Oklahoma. They do updates a few times a day for severe weather coverage of the entire nation and outlooks on where we see the best potential for thunderstorms. This is the lowest level. It's not even on the category. You have 5 categories: marginal, slight, enhanced, moderate, and high. We very rarely get within this category, but every once in a while we'll get that dark green, maybe even a little bit of yellow in there sometimes. When we start seeing the dark greens and yellows, that's when we can start seeing some pretty strong thunderstorms and better potential for some spin-ups as well. But many times we see just the light green here. We see spin-ups like we saw yesterday southwest of Chester, so we can't rule that out. And then by tomorrow, I think most of the activity will be shifting down towards south and to the east. So yes, things are getting quieter, especially by tomorrow. Let's take a look at Futurecast. There's the morning showers picking up this morning. We go through the morning hours, a couple of stray showers here and there, but otherwise not a lot of rainfall. And we are seeing that clearing this morning. We saw it on some of the cameras up in Siskiyou County, Modoc County, seeing some of that clearing as well. But as those storms develop, look what happens. Yeah, they're beginning to develop. And again, the flow around that low pressure system is going to take them from northeast to southwest. Now, we are seeing it, Trinity County, southern Humboldt. I do think northern Humboldt and Del Norte, even western Siskiyou, may dodge any rain or thunderstorms at all today. But the valley has a chance, east of that as well. Then we go into the evening overnight hours. There's 10 o'clock tonight. Still some isolated showers. You'll notice it's not as widespread. We're losing a lot of the energy from the sun. As a result, we see things begin to die down. Now, tomorrow morning, I think it's going to be overcast, a little drizzly out there because there's some leftover moisture, overcast and some low clouds for the coast. But then we'll probably start to see some clearing. So we'll call it partly to mostly cloudy skies tomorrow. And we could see a stray shower developing through the afternoon for some of the higher elevations, even into the evening hours. But we're really wrapping up all of this activity here. Even Wednesday, Futurecast wants to pick up on a little bit of shower activity trying to develop here. But otherwise, mainly we're just looking at partly cloudy skies in the mountains through the afternoon on Wednesday and Thursday. Again, it wants to pick up on a few light showers here and there, but really staying fairly dry. And we're also going to be looking at warmer weather. Taking a look at the forecast rain totals, don't take the numbers to be exact, but again, you can see most of the rain is over west, basically, east of the north coast. You're just not going to see a lot of rainfall for the north coast out of this. And here's the long range. We haven't actually pulled this map out in a while, but it's really illustrating something now because we are going to be going into a much drier trend over the next week or so. Wetter though as you head down. Looks like a little bit more of that monsoon kicking in. But what you're seeing here is a warmer than weather pattern. Let's talk about that. Because what we're seeing now is that area of low pressure I've been talking about that's dictating the positioning of those storms and the way they're moving. This is also the peak of the cooling trend today. The peak of the cooling trend is today. Temperatures only in the low to mid 60s in the valley, and then that starts to move on out. As it does that, high pressure is going to start to build back in slowly. But it is really going to make its presence known by this weekend, early next week. Early signs are pointing to some triple-digit heat for the first time this year. It could happen. Still early in the game to really set that in stone 100%, but it's getting a lot hotter any way you look at it as we go into the weekend. Take a look at that 10-day trend. I'm not committing to it, but look at that. You're splitting hairs at this point, right? We could see 100, 101. That's definitely not out of the question. Probably breaking some records too. But then we see those temperatures drop back down closer to normal, at least, as we go into Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. The lake levels, yeah, we're seeing a little bit of a drop out towards Trinity Lake, but otherwise Shasta and Orville still seeing those increases, still looking at the above 100% for those historical averages. The wave heights, not that bad. Saw a lot of activity this morning out at the Harbor District in Crescent City. They don't have to worry too much about those waves. But the main thing you do have to look out for is there will be some fog and some showers out there. Otherwise, south winds at about 5 knots and overall looking pretty good out there. There's a look at your your neighborhood forecast sponsored by Dignity Health and Grange Co-op. Temperatures mid to upper 60s. Chance for showers and thunderstorms today, maybe an isolated shower tomorrow. Otherwise, you're dry and warmer as we approach the weekend. For the North Coast, Yeah, I'd say for Eureka southward, chance for showers, maybe even an isolated thunderstorm. North of Eureka, most likely dry today, and including western Siskiyou County. In fact, take a look at Siskiyou County. Happy Camp, 75. We are going to be looking at more sunshine to start off the day. That's why it's actually going to be warmer to the north in the mountains than we're going to see in the valley. And again, because we're going to see a little bit more sunshine. But there still could be some afternoon showers and thunderstorms developing here. And then down to the eastern mountains, you've got a chance for showers, thunderstorms, temperatures generally in the 50s and 60s for your daytime high. So remember, you saw temperatures low 70s in Siskiyou, Modoc County, more like low 60s in the valley. That's because it's going to be mainly overcast, and we're not going to have a whole lot of heating because of that. Temperatures will be warming up back in the low to mid 80s by the end of the week, upper 80s by Friday, and mid to upper 90s by Saturday and Sunday. Take you up north, 65 degrees for Redding as well as Palo Cedro, and there you can see Cottonwood about 65. There's your 7-day forecast for Redding. I've got those temperatures mid to upper 90s for the weekend. Yeah. So really a nice cool day, a nice mild day for tomorrow, but yeah, be prepared for the fact that we're going to be dealing with some of the biggest heat we've seen so far for the year, for your Saturday, Sunday, and then it'll probably extend on into Monday of next week. It's one of those 7-day forecasts where you got a little bit of everything, right? Showers, thunderstorms, cool temperatures, and then much warmer as we go into the weekend. Let's check in with some of you this morning here. We've got Lisa Stevens first to check in this morning saying, happy Monday, everyone. Wishing a great day. Then we got Lisa Stevens, Jackie Dixon, one of our regulars checking in. She's saying, good morning from Trinidad. We had a bit of thunder and rain yesterday. Doesn't surprise me. Looks like we saw a lot of that kind of developing in the afternoon and even in the evening hours. We got James and Mandy Chapel. That was a nice thunderstorm last night. May the 4th be with you. Yes, get out your lightsabers and all that good stuff. All right, Kenny, good morning to you as well. Hope you're having a good start to your week. Boy, I was out kind of in the back country this weekend. I was traveling through Idaho, southeastern Oregon, and also Nevada. A lot of cattle out there. Big cattle industry out in that area. Maybe think of you, Kenny, and of course Elwood Ranch and your successful ranch as well. And speaking of that, we've got some great new cameras. Of course, you saw the Divine camera that we have now, but we're working on a couple of more cameras. So very excited. Stay tuned on where we're going to be putting those cameras because I've got some great locations for those as well. We have got light rain in Trinity Center this morning. Well, thank you, Don. And, Jackie is also from Trinidad, or in, not Trinity Center, not also. Trinity Center and Trinidad are two different places. But Trinidad, overcast, not necessarily raining, but we are getting some light rain in Trinity Center, which the radar doesn't seem to be picking up on. So, yeah, it looks like a little bit of light shower activity here. And then we got Curtis Brown. Good morning, everyone. It was quite the thunderstorm in Manton yesterday afternoon. I can only assume maybe you were in Manton. But yes, especially east of I-5, there were some pretty strong thunderstorms. Although in Trinity County, I do know that there are some pretty strong thunderstorms there yesterday as well. So very interesting day yesterday, especially with that spin up that we did see southwest of Chester, seeing a signature coming in from the radar, showing that upper level rotation in the spin. These are things we don't get to see very often. And it feels like here recently, my severe weather skills and knowledge are being put to the test again because we haven't really had much of that over the years. I do remember many, many years ago, there were several springs and summers where just covering severe weather all the time, tornado warnings, and severe thunderstorm warnings, all that. So we are beginning to see some unusual, not unusual, but the thing is, the number of spin-ups, tornadoes, funnel clouds, all of that we've seen so far this year is exceeding what we typically see for the year alone. So we've got more to come and be interesting. So a lot going on. All right, folks, that's going to do it for your Monday. I hope you have a good start to your week. It's going to be overcast. It's going to be cool. You'll eventually see some showers, maybe some thunderstorms. Not everyone's going to see thunderstorms, but just note that to be on the lookout for that. Of course, you can always check the latest right here at Weather NorCal. Check the latest at weathernorcal.com, the free Weather NorCal app, the 24-hour streaming channel available on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, anywhere YouTube is available, right on your big screen. You can watch it on your screen. How cool is that? Have it on 24/7. You can always check the latest forecast there as well. I do regular updates 3 times a day, 7 days a week. Of course, Chase Wilson does Saturdays and Sundays in the morning, noon, and evening. So you can always get the latest forecast. And whenever you go to the website, whenever you go to the app, and you click on the forecast, it's always going to be uploaded in there, the latest forecast that you have available to you. So be sure to check that out if you are curious as to what the latest forecast brings. So that's going to do it for us this morning. Have yourselves a great morning, a great rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow.